2023 International Trade Fair. Eswatini TV brings you a trade fair promotion and a double celebration package. 5-minute live interview on location for only 4,600 emalangeni. A live Kusile breakfast show interview on location for as low as 3,450 emalangeni. 30 seconds complimentary message for only 12,638 emalangeni 50 cents. 30 seconds commercial advert with a minimum of 20 slots, corporate for only 659 emalangeni 15 cents. Small medium enterprise for only 332 emalangeni 72 cents. Promotion ends on the 30th of September 2023.
Best Home and Electric introduces its best value, new range. The Natalie 4-piece lounge suite with a solid wood frame for extra durability for only $7,999. The Medispine Neptune double bed set with a high couch spring system for only $4,999. The JVC 42-inch smart TV brings you true color for only $5,999. Discover loads more in store. Same day delivery, 24 months to pay, no deposit option. Best quality and value, best for you.
Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to the News Bulletin at 8, brought to you by our number one news provider, Eswatini TV. I am Nondumiso Vilagate alongside Namakabiso Kambule. Let's take a look at our top stories. His Majesty King Mswati III has ordered that mourning gowns be removed in honor of the upcoming 55 national celebrations. Members of Imbali regiment have arrived at Lutsitsini Royal Residence to register for this year's wreath dance ceremony. The Elections and Boundaries Commission Chairperson Prince Mtlaplangeni says the primary elections were successful, but by-elections will be held for 2 constituencies on September 2. And now the news. His Majesty King Mswati III has ordered that mourning gowns be removed in honor of the upcoming 55 national celebrations. This was announced by Indvuna Themba Kininza at Lutsitsini Royal Residence.
Nasi simemetelo lesiphuma ebukhosini lapha eLutsitsini. Asemakhosi asimemetele kwekuthi labo labethwele tinzilo tinzaba usukela beva nje lesimemetelo sale bathi beka phansi akusho ukuthi nabathi beka phansi sebavulele ukuthi bangehla benyunga bathi beka phansi lapha bathi beka khona kuyawuthi nasekufike lelo suku lokukhumula lwabo bese bathi thatha ke bawuthi beka lapha bathi bekwa khona. Lokho kwentelwa ukuhlonipha lo mkhosi lomkhulu lodako ngokugubha iminyaka lengama-55 live lathola inkululeko nelusuku lwengwenyama kusenyama-55 seminyaka. Asike amakhosi asikhiphe lowo myalo ukuthi bayawuthi ngabathi ingqonqe labo bazile ngenhlitiyo kepha lethi insambo bathi beke phansi lapha bathi bekwa khona. Kuyawuseke kuloyo nasekufike lesikhathi sakhe sokuthethula bese kuyathatha ke bahamba bayosebenza ngendlela leti bekwa ngayo. Nguloko emakhosi lasithuma ukuthi asikumemetele esivele. Ayethe onowaphakathi simemetelo sikhishwa indvuna Themba Kininza eLutsitsini. Ayethe.
Members of the Imbali regiment have arrived at Lutsitsini Royal Residence to register for this year's wreath dance ceremony. The regiments were in festive mood as they arrived to register for the ceremony.
As the Imbali regiment ascended into the royal residence for this year's ceremony, Their Majesties continued to make every possible effort and to use all available resources to ensure the welfare and safety of maidens. The maidens were transported from their various chiefdoms in the comfort of a fleet of buses which were provided by Their Majesties. The arrival of the maidens at the royal residence was characterized by high-spirited song and dance. The Imbali regiment proceeded with the registration exercise, and they were also lectured on how they are expected to behave for the duration of the ceremony.
Balini bahle siyabonga ukuthi angatifaka itino letekubolekwa vele bekufuneka lokho Mbali. Imbali mayivunile iyaphelela ifaka ligcebesha ekhathi labanye nje ngiyawabona bakawafaki akwentiwa lokho Mbali. Imbali ayibonakali eseyise gables noma eshowini ani lapho Mbali. Nabafana bengwenyama batanithatha nje banibuthe bese niyahlawula Mbali. Imbali ayifaki imakeup, Imbali ayiruji, Imbali ayitifaki tingalo. Imbali mayigcoke i-tight lembhisha lengaveli hayi emabhluko nema-tight lamadze Mbali. Siyevana Mbali? Imbali nayise niyayibona mos 1348 leti ugoca kahle ulahla la endzaweni lekufanele khona Mbali. Imbali iyawabutha emaphepha la ihlala khona. Uma ke benu nasenyola labatawuchecka ema-roll call banatinonke ngeluhlaweni kude Imbali tawutfolakala seyihambile Mbali. Siyevana Mbali? Ngibatshelile.
Asihloniphane Mbali, nihloniphe neme. Kuze umsebenzi wabantu abadala tophumelela siyahlonipha. Kusasekuseni lesikhathi labanika sona nga-7 asivuki. Sesihlamele sivulile njengembali njengoba sathi ukuthi sitowendani mos. Angithi sitogada umhlanga. Nga-7 ke silana sibheke emkhosini.
Words of caution were also extended to Tindvuna, who have been assigned to lead the regiment.
Inhlonipho nje bekunene kugcinwa abantwana babhasojwe kahle babhasojwe noma kukhona umkhuhlane lovelako niyawubika la kufanele khona udokotela bakhona noma sekathatha lo mntwana sake umhlambe sekukhanya ukuthi soyanje sifiso esibhedlela kusemahlombe lokunye kunenkinga bantwana bahamba bayelwaneni bayedzidzini kuthiwe bawugeqa umhlanga nabefika le abuye nemucu munye ude nesishakato angathi ethi mhla kuthiwa kuyawuchitha lowo mntwana loyo uyawuchitha ini bantwana bonke ababe nemhlanga nibuke kona lokho ababe nemhlanga lowanele lobalingene bonke bantwana ngelanga lokuchitha bayawuchitha umhlanga angathi ke lolo utabe aphethe umucu munye kuthi uyawuchitha ini ke yena ude nesishakato mhla kuyawugidwa bonke bantwana bahambe bayogidwa kungumsebenzi wenu kuba bhaso bakwende konke lo inzaba yeshow kuneshow lo nyaka kuthi umntwana lo yeshowini.
The ceremony will attract thousands of people from across the globe who will witness it with their majesties. One maiden says the world is about to feast on a rare experience.
Sijabule kakhulu Dlamini, sijabule kakhulu Nkosi njengembali njengoba lelilanga leli bekulilanga besolo silifisile kunawo onke njengembali solo sifise geca wona umhlanga sijabule kakhulu ngoba lo mhlanga lesifisa kugeca lonyaka utaba ngilomuhle kakhulu tokhona kusebenza endaweni temakhosi nangenhlonipho ke Dlamini wekunene siyathembisa ukuthi lo msebenzi abantu labadzala sitawenda uzufika emaphethelweni.
Kutawu emakhosi atabahlanganise umhlaba wonke jikelele kutawubukelwa nini enkundleni nethembisana
Inkosi lunyawo ke lona luhle kakhulu Dlamini nestive tonke lesikhamba ngaphandle siyathembisa ukuthi batawubukela konke labakufunako phinze nalomnye umnyaka babe naye ukuthi bafise kubuyela eveni laseSwatini batawubukela lo mgwitho lesibe siwenda enkundleni.
On Wednesday morning, Her Majesty the Indlovukazi will commission the maidens at Lutsitsini Royal Residence. They will cover a long distance walking to Ngabezweni Royal Residence where they will later on be commissioned by His Majesty King Mswati III to cut the reed. On the news, I am Sandile Makanya, reporting from Lutsitsini Royal Residence.
Chiefs in the Manzini region say they take every opportunity in community meetings to encourage Maswat in their areas to vote in this year's elections. The chiefs were speaking in Manzini during their planning meetings at the regional administrator's office.
The Manzini Regional Administrator says during meetings, chiefs always make sure that they address every sector of society, even the youth, to ensure they fully understand the importance of voting in the elections.
Lona kwathiwa ngumsebenzi wawo wonke umuntu wesonke futhi lukhetho lubekwe kuboba betikhulu. Naluphunyuka nje esikhulwini sibuka lesikhulu uyale njani bantu. Ubakhulumise njani bantu. Upote kuphi ukuthi bakuhlula la stokubambisa. So bantu boba bevele bakhuthala bakhulumisa iyabita imihlangano leminye imihlangano uyibita ngekuhlukana kuyadzinga nje sokukhulumisa nalabasha nje. Ube futhi bathi babhekephi bese uyabahlambulula ngoba labasha sebabhika badzala labanye babesebesaba lokukhuluma.
The chiefs say every Liswati should take it upon themselves to vote in this year's elections. They encourage the youth to do the same.
Siyasikhuthaza nje ukuthi wonke umuntu akasukume sikhuthata kona nje ukuthi nakwendiwa lo msebenzi kube inhlonipho kuphela lesebenzako.
Bakushitsata tsatse bamvula basha kwekuthi vele indlela lengiyo ukuthi bakhona kugcina nabo bavakela basitakela ukuthi bete bangena ezikhethweni baparticipate.
Over 583,000 Maswati have registered for the elections. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Manzini.
The Elections and Boundaries Commission Chairperson Prince Mhlaphlangene says the primary elections were successful, but by-elections will be held for 2 constituencies on September 2. The chairperson was speaking during a press meeting on Monday evening.
It is equally important to underscore the fact that in some instances where a tie is reported, the law goes on to prescribe that there be a by-election. And in this regard, where a tie has been reported, the date allocated for such by-election is the 2nd of September. And of course, it is important as a general note to indicate, of course, that subsequent to the list being presented, formally announced, the next stage shall commence as it has automatically begun.
The National Disaster Management Agency says 1,026 people were affected by the windstorm that occurred on Friday. NDMA's communications manager Wandile Mavuso says the windstorm affected the Manzini and Hoho region, injuring an 11-year-old.
The Kingdom of Eswatini was hit by a windstorm Friday last week, destroying buildings and electricity poles amongst other structures. The National Disaster Management Agency's communications manager Wandile Mavuso gave a situational overview.
A total of 194 households have been damaged by the windstorms that occurred on Friday. Out of that, 757 people have been affected by these windstorms that occurred. We've also received reports that there have been 4 schools that have been damaged extensively, which include Ngwalini Primary, MTS Primary, Ngwenya Central, Makwane Anglican, as well as CIT College. We also received reports that there's been 1 injury of an 11-year-old young boy at Malanti in the Hoho region. We understand he was injured, but he is critical but stable.
The Eswatini Electricity Company's marketing and communications manager Kaya Mavuso said there were 10,000 Maswati who experienced power outages due to the windstorm.
We have beefed up our teams from other depots that have been less affected by the windstorm from Friday. They'll be assisting us in these areas, mainly in Babane, in the Babane-Manzini corridor, Lange, Malkens, as well as Madlangambis.
The National Disaster Management Agency is coordinating emergency response effort to ensure that affected families have access to necessary supplies during this difficult time, and so far, 33 trampolines have been distributed to those in need. The Eswatini Electricity Company says they have now restored electricity for 6,000 Eswatini. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Swekwaza with Sikumbuzo Dlamini, Babane.
The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade Director of Small and Medium Enterprises, Mluleki Dlamini, says the Small and Medium Enterprises National Policy will assist the sector in digital marketing and also help the entrepreneurs in accessing funds for their businesses. Dlamini said this during an interview with Eswatini TV.
The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade has started to engage stakeholders regarding the drafting of the Small and Medium Enterprises National Policy with an intention of collecting their views. The Ministry's Small and Medium Enterprises Director Mluleki Dlamini elaborates on how the policy will empower SMEs.
We're basically adding in new issues that have not been included in the past policy, such as the issues of technology and also digital platforms in terms of how you market your product. So basically, this is what will be happening in the new policy, and we appeal to all business people to come in and provide information for the better development of this policy. We've seen that it is very crucial that now these days you don't need to travel to attend exhibitions in places outside the country. You can always advertise your products in virtual platforms and eventually get people to purchase your products in those platforms. So we'll also be looking at those, how do we enhance those platforms.
The business people say they will need to be capacitated on how the policy will empower them, because most of the time they lack knowledge on how they could use the policy to their advantage. They add that they will appreciate if the policy can assist in assessing funds.
Khona lokho kwade ukuthi ufuna kwenda tinfo letitsite empilweni, but ngalokuthi letinye tinfo awukafundziseki ubese awusakhona lokuchubeka kahle.
Ngaba ukuthi basite lapho sishobela phasi khona njenge imali, the materials asikhona nemishina iba mncane njengoba imncane.
The 2018 to 2023 SMEs national policy is currently being reviewed. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Impendulo Gumbi Mbabane.
The Eswatini Meteorological Service says the country's rainfall forecast for the summer predictions shows normal to above normal rainfall over the entire country. Meteorologist Fiso Nzalo says rains will be ranging between 200 millimeters to 500 millimeters.
As the Kingdom of Eswatini is experiencing the transition from winter to summer and temperatures are getting warm, the Eswatini Meteorological Service says the country's seasonal rainfall forecast update for the first half of summer shows a generally normal forecast with a bias of above to normal rainfall over the entire country. Meteorologist Sifiso Nzalo says rains will be ranging between 200 millimeters to 500 millimeters during October to December 2023. The Eswatini Meteorological Service will be providing updates. The Eswatini Meteorological Service will be providing updates monthly during the summer season. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Swekwaza with Sikumbuzo Dlamini, Babane.
Author Professor Ara Monagem says teachers and lecturers must teach students on the importance of conserving all species of animals so that they do not become extinct. The professor was speaking during the launch of his book entitled African Mammals, Landscape and Ecology of a Continent. The launch was held at the University of Eswatini Waluseni campus on Tuesday.
The book, titled African Mammals, Landscape and the Ecology of a Continent, focuses on animal evolution and different species of animals and the role that can be played by humans to conserve animals. Speaking during the launch of the book, the author of the book, Professor Ara Monagem, says animal conservation must be taught in schools and universities.
The other aspect is that if we interrupt ecological processes, it can also backfire on our own our well-being as humans, because we can then get plagues of pests that attack our agricultural fields, for example. To keep things in check, to keep things in balance, to make sure that we don't lose the diversity of life, and also to ensure our own well-being as humans, we need to have these animals around, and we need to understand the ecological processes that keep nature so well balanced as it is.
The UNESCO Vice-Chancellor Professor Justice Twala says the book contains interesting facts about animal conservation.
These are very important in terms of knowledge preservation, because some of these are now getting extinct. Some of these animals are actually very important for other purposes. We know that, for instance, in agriculture, we have had a new pet species which was discovered by Professor Mona Jemoki in collaboration with some researchers from other countries, South Africa and Mozambique. So basically, these are very important in terms of pollination in agriculture, which yields very good yields.
The book is already available at the library of the University of Eswatini. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi with Vomingo Sinzinisa in Nelson Ntangamandla, Kwaluseni.
Dear viewers, now take a look at our financial updates.
Standard Bank. It can be.
Welcome back. You're still watching Eswatini TV. We begin our sports roundup with Mbabane Swallows Football Club, where the acting president, Absalom Ngwenya, announced the new club's chairman by the name of Masocha Vilagati, who will work in hand with other structures within the club.
We begin our sports roundup with Mbabane Swallows Football Club, acting president Absalom Ngwenya, who has announced the new club's chairperson by the name of Masocha Vilagati, who will work in hand with other structures within the club.
Besi ubeka lo chairman wethu lomusha lo ngumasocha Vulakati lo watiwa kumbabane Swallows sicela thi nje abanjiswe.
The club's first game will be against Ilovo in the upcoming 2023 Trade Fair Cup. Moving on to table tennis, the association's president, Percy Zulu, upon his return from the International Table Tennis Federation annual general meeting that was held in Thailand last week, he has brought good news to the association that we see the country benefiting from the new relationships created alongside countries like England and India.
Kuxoxeni ke kwami nabo baseNgilandi bangaqala ngabo bangithembisa ukuthi bangasisita kuma eSwatini kuto tonke tinto nje lesicishe sitifuna tinto tabo governance nesiphindze ke ngaphindze ngacela ke ukuthi basisite etintweni tabo equipment.
And lastly, in our international news, Spanish Regional Football Associations presidents have urged their National Football Association president, Luis Rubiales, to step down as the country president following his incident of kissing Spanish women football player Jenny Hermoso during the team's celebration of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
That is all we had for tonight, but before we wrap up, we'll take a quick recap of today's headlines. Majesty King Mswati III has ordered that mourning gowns be removed in honor of the upcoming 55 national celebrations. Members of Imbali regiment have arrived at Lutsitsini Royal Residence to register for this year's wreath dance ceremony. The Elections and Boundaries Commission chairperson, Prince Mhlaphlangeni, says the primary elections were successful, but by-elections will be held for 2 constituencies on September 2. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin tonight. Up next is the weather forecast for selected towns. Good night, Eswatini.
International Trade Fair. Eswatini TV brings you a trade fair promotion and a double celebration package.